This week's edition of this Totally Rad Show is brought to you by the new GV.com, now GameV.com,
GoDaddy.com,
and Netflix.
I have been, and always shall be, your friend. Live long and prosper.
With nothing better to do, get abducted by the crew of the Starship Alpha 2. They're from the planet Q, which, due to a space-time loop, is stuck in 82 and must be rescued. They need our heroes to discuss the latest news and give their reviews of games and movies too. Sure hope you're not confused. We swear this is all true, not just the premise to the Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 53. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
The Totally Rad Show is a weekly dose of all things rad. We sneak onto the CSUN campus, calling ourselves corporate housing quarters, and then shoot some sort of big major motion picture.
Amazing.
That's what we do here on the show. So welcome to season 2.
Yeah. Eppin 1.
Eppin 1.
Welcome to season
Episode
2, folks. Hopefully it's better than Heroes, season 2.
Or Lost, right? Didn't Lost season 2?
Actually, I like the beginning of last season.
Look at that. It's really cool.
Yeah, no. This is from Joshua Ford.
Yep.
Sent this in.
HDR light.
HDR
photography he did.
So
I guess.
let everybody know what HDR is, because I never heard
High
of it
dynamic
before.
range.
So you take it at different exposures and then let the computer tell you which one's the smart person's exposure.
It's a big thing in video games right now. The Half-Life 2, like a couple of years ago, put HDR in the games, and so now a lot of games are doing that. So it's like where if you walk from a dark area to a light area, just like your eye would do, it gets too bright for a second.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the effect that you see in video games sometimes.
And that has
It's like, you ever see, you remember Minority Report, how every window was blown out?
yes.
How it's all like white, how that's a cool effect. That happens
Right.
because when you expose for inside,
You're
outside
being attacked by a bug.
When you expose for inside, the outside gets blown out.
Right. Yes, I hear that.
But if you expose for outside, the inside's darker.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but if you expose for both and then combine them, you get this wonderfully awesome, perfect image, but a little bit less stylized.
Well, but stylized is fun.
Speaking of style, don't we have an announcement that we are not going to make?
With
Yes.
style.
So we're not gonna make it.
What do you mean?
What are you talking
I
about?
thought we were gonna tease something. Are we not
Oh,
teasing?
I thought it was gonna be at the end of the show, but we'll do it at top
Me
two.
too, but that's
If
okay.
we're thinking about the same thing.
I think we are.
I don't know how it relates
Though
to
how it's style, I don't
I
know.
know.
Because
I was
art
doing
style,
what you do,
maybe?
which is speaking of the thing, and then that's not the thing at all.
Oh. Do I do that?
It's a thing that now
failed, sir.
I'm on the
Failed,
spot.
sir.
I apologize.
We're going to Comic-Con, and we're not sure exactly how we're going to kick out the jams, but it's going to be a really big time. We're going to kind of try to kick it up a notch
Yeah.
from last year's just meetup to other notches.
We're going to 11 this year.
We're going to
folks.
11. We don't want to announce anything because we haven't locked
Right.
things in
So,
yet.
but what we want to do is,
But
if
if you-
you're thinking of going to Comic-Con,
Go.
This is the time.
Comic-Con to go.
And now is the time. Selling out, get
Yep.
your tickets, get your reservations.
Sell out now,
Come.
people.
Come.
Sell out now and come to.
We really want you to come. We
Yes.
really want you to come. We
Yeah.
will hang out with you if you come.
The time is nigh.
I will
It
give you
truly
my
is nigh.
phone number.
promises.
We won't know.
Dan's making promises.
That'd be awesome if we Steve
All right,
put
let's
his
go
cell
with
phone
the
number.
show.
All right, let's get on with the show. I said what Jeff said.
So this week in movies, we're going to talk about The Bank Job.
Or the big jarb. as Coach Z would say on Strong Bad.
Okay. The Bank Job is a tiny little movie that's really been
Bigger.
getting bigger, getting views, just basically through word of mouth. This spring season, it's based on true story.
I just realized where I recognize that actor from. Atonement.
Who?
We'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay, Bank Job, based on true story about bank robbers and the many complications that happen while they're robbing a bank in England. It's directed by Roger Donaldson. Some of his works include No Way Out, which I think is his best movie. It's an awesome gem of a movie.
No Way Out with Kevin
Costner back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I'm like surprised that premise. I was reminded of it when I remembered that, and that premise has not been ripped off, and it's like waiting to be. I hope it doesn't. But he did Species. He did Dante's Peak. He did 13 Days.
Just saw Dante's Peak again the other day.
A lot of great movies.
The Recruit.
Oh.
Really interesting.
Wait,
like
13 days?
But Dante's Peak.
Which one's 13 days? Dante's
The Kevin
Peak? Not so
Costner
bad.
again. The
No, it was
political thriller about the missile crisis.
Oh, yeah, Cuban Missile Crisis. Yeah.
13 Days is great.
Anyway,
haven't seen it.
so that's who made this movie, and that's what it's about. And who thought what here?
Who thought what?
Jason Statham.
Sorry.
It's a period
Sorry,
movie.
Jason Statham, set in the 70s, feels like it's 70s, made in the 70s. Jason Statham, Saffron Burrows.
Oh, wow. Which one was Saffron Burrows?
The chick.
Hottest girl in the
Yeah.
movie.
Wow.
The lead chick.
That's shocking.
Chickadees. Sorry, I should. Yes, Jason Statham.
I didn't realize it was the star of Wing Commander.
What do you guys think? I don't know who goes this time.
We'll pick one.
Doesn't matter.
Jeff, what did you think?
Damn it.
Go.
No, I'm just kidding. Comedy.
The Bank Job. It's a hard movie to review simply because it didn't stir in me any real strong feelings either way. It's a decent movie. I think it does its job very well. It's told well. I was interested throughout, but I could have gone my entire life without seeing that movie, and I wouldn't have felt I missed anything. You know, it's a movie that it held my interest and wasn't bad. I didn't have any issues with it, but I also didn't love it. It just sort of tells you the story, plot point to plot point. I found it very interesting that it's a true story. I don't know how inspired by it is, but I honestly don't have much to say about it. It's a movie that I didn't not like, but I also didn't love. So it's, I feel under.
Were you as ambivalent, Alex?
I was not as ambivalent there, Lingwo. I was. I actually.
Zarkon?
I liked it. I liked it a lot more than Jeff. I'm a sucker for a good bank heist movie. You know what I mean? And especially in the periodness of it and the Britishness of it. I love British heist movies, caper movies. You know, they're just fun.
Like what are some of the classic British caper films that you like?
Well, like Snatch.
Oh, yeah, good. Nice.
And like, well, what did you think I was gonna do?
And Lock,
Stock, and although Snatch and Lock, Stock are basically the same movie.
Yeah.
But
same director, same star.
Exactly.
Best movie.
But a couple really cool, really interesting things that came up. First off, I think Jason Statham is probably the best actor of our generation who can fight in a suit. Because that man fighting in a suit is like, he's not, it's like he's wearing a gi. Like, I don't know what it is. Transporter?
That's funny, dude.
Right? Transporter 2? Right?
Yeah.
I think there are better suit fighters.
Dude,
Daniel Craig and,
disagreed.
Dude,
No,
Any James Bond.
no, dude, because it's like he's fighting in a suit. Jason Statham is kicking people's ass, happens to be wearing a suit. Okay, so the other thing is, I also want to do a movie with Jason Statham. I think he is a lot like how I feel about The Rock. I think people are giving, the roles that he is being offered are these roles that are just, you're the tough guy, you're the quiet guy who kicks people's asses, and you're sort of brooding. I think there's more to him. I think that there's gonna be a role.
Put him in a tutu like The Rock.
Well, all right, maybe not the Disney, but it hasn't happened for The Rock yet either.
Yeah.
But I think there's a movie out there that's gonna give Jason Statham the opportunity to actually do acting as well. You know what I mean? And
With him.
it's gonna.
This
it's gonna
was,
blow
I think
up.
this was a little bit showing you the
I
first
agree.
signs, and then someone will see this.
Like
and
with
cast
him,
him
the
in.
scene with him and his wife. When I was like,
No, it was good.
I was like, oh, there's something. So I
He
enjoyed
used to do a
it.
movie like Narc or something.
Yeah, like real gritty
Still
and
a
like-
gritty cop thing, and he can be actiony but more dramatic.
You okay?
Why
Is
is
it
that
the
fun?
fly?
Looking at the bug on your
The
head.
bug on your head.
There's a bug on my head?
It's
your
really
face.
around you and in your face.
Okay.
But so I liked it more than Jeff. Again, it's not the best movie I've seen in my life, but it's fun.
It's cool, yeah. I felt similarly to you, Jeff. I was kind of like, it's a cool movie, but it didn't instigate any elicit any awesome, like, I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, I kind of was following it but wasn't engrossed. But cool movie. I love how it's shot. It's very colorful and slick and like bloomy and lights. It looks like a romantic comedy, but it's not, you know?
Yeah.
It actually gets surprisingly violent.
Yes, there were moments of shocking
Yeah.
violence. Interesting, this director makes movies, this guy, Roger Donaldson, all the movies I've listed, and this movie included, are like the little in-between movies that don't have huge stars. He did the remake of The Getaway with Alec Baldwin and...
Kim Basinger?
Yeah, Kim Basinger.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, they're not huge, bankable stars. It's not
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, but it's like No Way Out was probably the only exception. It was like the huge moneymaker of his career.
Yeah.
Species, it wasn't like the big summer action movie, but it was an action movie that came out and whatever. You know, it's like all these movies are just like, and they're not bad.
Yeah.
They're just like these, okay, they happen.
I don't know. I think
movies.
13 Days
Although
is
Dante's
an
Peak is terrible.
amazing movie. I think 13 Days is a very, very good movie.
It's just, it's just a, I didn't see 13 Days.
Oh, you didn't?
I
It's
didn't see 13 Days.
freaking awesome.
But it's just interesting that these choices he makes are just these like run-of-the-mill.
Yeah.
The Recruit is like, it happened, you know?
Yeah, well, The Recruit
it wasn't
was
like, it
although
happened.
talk about star, Al Pacino.
That's true,
and
but it's Al Pacino,
Colin
like
Farrell.
It's not Al Pacino in his huge summer movie.
No, I know, yeah,
or,
it's
like,
Al Pacino doing
Oscar
his,
movie.
like,
it's like the money
two-scene
movie.
guest star thing.
Like 88 Minutes coming out. I don't know if you saw the trailer for that, but
I did. That was poop.
yeah. Anyway, moving on, news. I've been sitting on this news for a while.
Ooh.
You guys remember, I mentioned this to you back in the day, but it's finally been outed about Brad Bird doing 1906. So Brad Bird,
Okay.
the director of the animated films,
Yes, I know Brad Bird.
Iron Giant, Incredibles,
Certified genius.
Certified
as far as I'm
genius.
concerned.
Iron Giant, Incredibles, and Ratatouille.
Yeah.
He actually also did The Family Dog. Remember The Family Dog?
The TV show?
No.
It was one of the amazing stories.
Yeah.
You probably know it when you see it. It's like
Good. It's very
dark
simple
and-
looking drawings.
Okay, I
you
don't.
would- yeah. Anyway, he's doing 1906, which is a live action.
Oh, he's doing a live action? That's cool.
He's doing a live action movie that is about the San Francisco earthquake. But it's sort of set amongst this film noir mob drama where this young reporter is finding, I think I might be getting this wrong, it's based on a book,
That's okay. I like what you're inventing.
discovering conspiracy that led to
The earthquake?
the earthquake happening, basically. Or
Well,
like,
it wasn't the
led
earthquake that
to-
destroyed everything. It was the fire that destroyed everything.
Right.
Being a San Francisco native.
That led to like there was reasons why things were like kind of what we found about New Orleans, like the left,
Yeah.
like anyway. So there's two things I want to bring. One, I think the only other guy, and I might be getting this wrong, the only other animation guy to go to live action was the Narnia movies. Is the guy who did Shrek, and I might be overlooking something. And I know the guy who did Monster House is now making live action. But so we have two things going on here: animation.
Wait. Was Monster House, was that Schwam?
Yeah, Rob Schraub.
Rob
wrote it.
Schraub.
Wrote
Oh, he
it.
wrote it. He didn't
Yeah.
direct it? Oh, because I was going to say, he's not.
No.
Yeah.
And there's two things to play. There's that, and there's also this Titanic model of, although I don't know if that was the first movie to do this, but of having this love story, this sort of regular other story to tell a disaster movie.
Right.
It's not Poseidon Adventure or Towering
right,
Inferno.
right.
It's
It's really
just
about
a
the
disaster.
Right.
It's about
Disaster is the end of the love story.
Right.
It's the backdrop
Right.
upon which
which I
this
think
played out.
Titanic. Well, I want to hear you guys. I have some opinions, but I want to hear you guys'.
Well, I just listened
on
to
both those elements.
I just listened to Brad Bird on The Business, which is a great NPR show on our local station KCRW, but it's also a podcast that you can get on iTunes. And it was done before the Academy Awards, and he was being asked about whether or not he thinks that because there's a special Academy Award just for animated movies, it's kind of ghettoizing them and setting them apart. And his opinion was that directing an animated movie is basically the same thing. You're still selecting shots, you're still deciding how you're going to cover something, you're still directing performance and figuring out lighting and all the same things you do as a director. So I have the utmost confidence in him, and every sentence that you said describing the plot, each subsequent sentence, I was more excited about what this could possibly be. So
I agree. I mean, I think of all the people who are uniquely qualified, I mean, he wrote Ratatouille.
And Incredibles and Iron Giant.
Incredibles and Iron Giant. I mean, he clearly is a filmmaker. His medium of choice up to now has been the animated medium, but he is a filmmaker. So I have a feeling that whatever medium you give him, it will be his new.
Because his movies in those mediums or in those genres,
very film-esque,
and they supersede the genre. It's not just a regular. It's not just a. Iron Giant is like a wonderful animated movie. It's not like. Whatever, it's not Prince of Egypt or whatever these whatever animated movies. It's profound. And I also think that I feel like Titanic and Pearl Harbor also get a lot of flack for having this romantic story. I don't think that was what was wrong with Pearl Harbor, and I don't think. I think that's a wonderful way to make you care about what's happening. If you tell us a story about a disaster is a disaster. There's no tell a story about characters.
Dante's Peak all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, So tell a story about interesting characters, and then you care about what happens in the disaster.
Well, disaster movies tend to be not about the people. It tends to be people in peril and the spectacle of the peril.
Right.
So
or it's forced where Cloverfield, where the first 20 minutes were like, I know what you're doing, you're just setting it up so that I feel bad when these people are in peril, but you're not doing it it's not being successful.
Right. Yeah.
Because by the time I'm like, just fucking show up with a monster already.
I think Poseidon Adventure, the original Poseidon Adventure is amazing, but I think, you learn about the people throughout
the disaster, right?
But I think you're right in that every movie that comes off that model, it comes off as trite.
Right.
And now I think it's more wonderful to engage you in their story, and then the S hits the F.
Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah. So here we are in showing this part 2. Talk about.
I want to say part 2.
Talk about part 2.
Still chewing.
Still chewing.
Correct. We just finished, so there's not as much slopping of the barbecue ribs.
Right. But I wanted to talk to you guys about this. Why
is your topic?
Is it that in general, there are exceptions, we can talk about the exceptions if we want, there are exceptions to the rule, but in general, movie sequels go down, diminishing returns. Sequels tend to suck for movies.
Well, there are exceptions.
There are certainly exceptions.
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back.
Bad Boys 2.
Terminator 2. Thank you. Took mine.
Thank you. Take mine.
Terminator 2. People say Godfather 2, although I don't agree with that. 28 Weeks Later is a recent exception. Okay, anyway. But video game
But
sequels...
I would say that 28 Days Later was better than 28 Weeks Later, but go ahead.
Okay. Video game sequels, in general, it's a vast improvement.
There's a mechanical answer to that.
Of course.
Kind of a practical mechanical answer, which is that
technology gets better.
technology gets better. Every game sequel that you would suggest is better than the original, and I would probably agree with you. I would predict that we would probably agree that the story isn't what makes it better than the first one.
Right. With video games, it's not about the story. It's about the
Why is
technology,
that?
it's about the graphics, there's graphic upgrades, and I know you're probably going to disagree with me on this one, but I feel like you have more of a nostalgic feel for the characters of a video game than you do the characters in a movie. When you experience a movie, it's like, wow, that was a really great story, I like that character. You know what I mean? Like a James Bond or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you play a video game, you are so becoming that character that you're excited to be able to move in the world the way that character moves. You're excited to be able to interact with the other characters that you were able to interact with in that world. You're excited about using the weapons that you used in that world.
Like we went and saw the Diving Bell and the Butterfly, right?
Right.
And that was an experience that I cherished having as a film, but I don't think of anything in the video game space that even attempts anything as complex or as thought-provoking or as moving
I mean, would you ever play the Diving Bell and the Butterfly?
No,
game?
I don't
know.
think so, but-
I never thought I would watch a movie about it. I never thought that was possible to make that entertaining.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So I mean,
agree
I would
with
love
that,
to.
but I mean,
I love to have that nut cracked somehow.
It seemed like you felt Bioshock kind of started to do that for you a little
I
bit.
agree.
And it didn't do
well,
that
I think
for me.
I think it puts in.
I mean, I agree with myself that I do think that.
I agree. That was an amazing point that Jeffrey Kanata made on the Totally Rad Show.
When I played Uncharted or Lost Odyssey, I said recently how I love the writing and the story and the dialogue and all that stuff. I like all that stuff because it's a video game.
Right.
If you took that, even in Uncharted, if you took that dialogue that I loved in Uncharted and was in a movie, I'd be like, this is really hokey and cheesy.
Well, but see
It would
now,
feel like
and that's what I was going to say. I think we are just now getting into the sort of like renaissance of video games where we're starting to see video games that are approaching the qualities of movies. Movie is a completely different way of experiencing entertainment than a video game. I don't ever want them to be the same because I enjoy that I have two options.
They were just talking about this on one of yours about like the value of cutscenes. Like, do cutscenes work in a video? Basically, what you're doing is Uncharted, which is a game I very much liked.
Yeah.
But basically, what you're doing is play,
Or Lost Odyssey,
watch.
same thing.
Yep.
Play,
Right,
exactly.
that's- yeah.
Watch, and it's almost as if it's two different medium competing in one experience. Rather than what I would argue BioShock does, which is why I felt like it really progressed the idea of narrative
When
in
Half-Life
video
2,
games.
the same kind of-
Well, not even Half-Life 2 is you're still in control, but it's almost as if you're watching a cutscene.
Gotcha.
But you're in
But
control.
BioShock.
I see. I prefer Half-Life 2, but
Okay, well, but BioShock, the narrative is happening in the world. Don't get me wrong, I love Half-Life, and I think it does a fantastic job of conveying the story. I'm saying that the dialogue moments are literally just cutscenes that I can move my head around during. That's it.
But I think there's, because this is why I want to stick on this, because Call of Duty 4 was that. And many games are cutscenes that like Rainbow Six Vegas. You're in the helicopter, you can move your head, you can look around, but you're on rail. You can't actually move.
Right.
Half-Life, you actually could move, and while they are talking, while Dog is doing whatever, he's lifting up the thing, and you then have to crawl under it, and you are on the train, and you're getting story. There's other moments, not just where the people are talking. We're in the train, and the TV, the guys, you're like getting a sense of what this world is, and you are on the train, and you are walking, but you literally are mentally on a train into this world where you are I mean, it is.
No, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying that's a baby
That's
step.
only in video games too. You can only experience that story like that in a video game. You can never experience the story of Half-Life in a movie the way you experience it in the game. Just like like you're saying about BioShock.
Why? I think there's a vast difference between those two. I think honestly, you could appropriate the story from Half-Life 2 into a movie much easier than you could appropriate the story from BioShock into a movie, simply because Half-Life 2 is a baby step in that direction. I would say BioShock is a full half step in that direction, and neither of them has gotten there completely yet, and I think that's where they need to go for me to be like, yes.
Yeah. Well,
Good call.
game story, movie story, sequel, what have you.
Hope you chewed on
For us
this.
to chew on.
Chewing on here.
So before we get into this week's video game, I just want to mention one more time. I'm about 40 hours into Lost Odyssey, and it's
the shield.
amazing. No, it's amazing. I knew it would get lost in the shuffle if I didn't bring it up right at the top, but I'm loving Lost Odyssey, so I highly recommend it if you like Final Fantasy at all. Pick it up. Okay, but this week's game is Rainbow Six Vegas 2 from Ubisoft. And Rainbow Six Vegas was right before we started doing this show.
Yeah, it was
a little
sort of
over a year
game
ago.
that we all got addicted to playing
Yeah, we
online.
played
and-
a lot of this.
Yeah.
Remember hanging out in the lobby talking about girl troubles?
I remember those troubles.
Yeah, triple troubles even.
Yeah.
So the first game ended with a to be continued. This is a little over a year later, and usually when a sequel to a game comes out in about a year, it means they were already working on that when the first one was made. And you can tell in this game that it's the same game engine as the Unreal Engine. It's not a lot different in this game. It's the same Tom Clancy, uber high-tech, paramilitary, small team unit, still squad-based. You command your guys. first-person shooter. It's the same general formula. There's some new twists, but Alex, I know you had
I had an issue with it. I was the first to attempt to review this game, and was successful at getting through the first level, sort of. And then
let me interrupt you real fast. We should say it's available for the 360, the PS3, and delayed for the PC, but coming for the PC. We had the 360 version.
We had the 360 version, and then my 360 exploded. So I've
RROD.
Yes, I have done the Red Ring of Death. I tried to play a little bit. So my portion of the review section this week is going to be. Really kind of paraphrase. I mean, the bottom line is that the game is the game that I liked to play before. Though I will say that because of the advent of games like Gears of War, and I would even go so far as to say Call of Duty 4, I'm going to say that I think for me personally, the strategy shooter, the sort of military sim shooter, is not my cup of tea. It's not as much fun for me to be like, okay, I gotta hide behind this wall and then wait, and then I gotta make sure my guys go over here, and I see the guy pacing, I'm looking through the thing, I'm gonna throw a grenade over here. It's just not
less
my
run
thing.
and gun, more tactical.
Yeah,
right?
and like Gears sort of gave you the like cover, sort of, but it was run and gun. You know what I mean? Call of Duty 4 was a military sim, but it's a run and gun. You know what I mean? Like there were times when it was like sneaky deaky time, but that's different than the game is. Look through, like snake cam every door. This is not how I like to play games anymore, I don't think. That said, I know I love the online gameplay, you know what I mean? Like when it's a group of us going out to get a group of other people. So I didn't get a chance to fully experience the game, so I will.
Where was your stone cold salute for Microsoft? I thought for sure you were going to be
Stone Cold Steve Austin?
double flip offs to Microsoft and my Xboxes.
I've been prepared.
You've been prepared.
I knew that it was a
they
first
put out
gen.
a piece of crap up.
Right. Well, I knew that it was a thing that breaks.
Yeah.
And that is old news that it breaks. I was just waiting for mine to break. Almost everybody I know has broken.
It's like the battered wife syndrome.
Yeah. I knew it was coming, so when it came, it was like.
All right, Danny. R6 V2.
R6 V2.
Oh, anagram.
Pregnant pause. Very pregnant pause for dramatic effect.
Not working.
I hate no. I also the game for me was colored by playing one of the best games and plus Call of Duty 4. It's hard to see this game after seeing that game because it feels like maybe they were developing this game right after they stopped developing. Though I don't know if that's true, but it certainly does not come after the games that we like Call of Duty 4. Basically, we had to say. I mean, the graphics are bad. Look bad. They're bad.
Really?
Yes, I think that they are bad. I mean, like when I see a brick, it looks like a Counter-Strike like level that someone made. Yeah. Like it doesn't have depth or richness or texture or interesting like elements to the graphics or blooming or whatever. Like I don't feel immersed. I feel like I'm in a multiplayer map of a game in the single player. And I too so much prefer being a member of the badass unit as opposed to being the commander. Because then I feel like immersed in what's happening as opposed to in charge of what's happening, and obviously I don't have the know-how to attack the situation. What I did find cool about the single player was the many ways to attack the situation.
Which Call of Duty, I would argue, doesn't really have.
True, right. And that's what is cool is as you're going by, you could see, like I rappelled down somewhere, and then I realized, oh my God, I could have gone down. Then when I left that area, I saw all the different ways I could have handled it. I was like, holy shit, there really are a number of ways to handle it. That is cool, but it really is just only if you loved the first Rainbow Six should you play this game.
I don't know. I disagree. I think I liked it more than both of you guys. I agree. It does feel a little bit more like an expansion pack than a full sequel. And one of the puzzling things to me is that from a story perspective, which granted you don't necessarily play these games for the story, but it's a Tom Clancy game. I mean, Tom Clancy writes stories, so there are characters in these games that are in his books. So from a story perspective, it's a little weird that the first game ends with a to be continued, and then this game doesn't
It's a
continue.
flashback. It's like what?
It's like a parallel. You're playing different characters, and it's a parallel story to the first game.
Maybe you catch up to where that left off.
in RC 3423.
Yeah, perhaps. I agree with you guys in some respects. I'm glad that they revamped the co-op mode because the co-op mode.
Oh, how was that, by the way? Because that was one thing I wanted to
It's
talk
a lot
about.
better. You play
Is it
through
more
the story.
like the story? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
because in the first game
But-
you could play 4 players, which you can't do in this one. You can only play 2.
Well, but I'd give up that 2 other players for the actual story.
Yeah, and in the first game you could play 4 players or as many as 4 players, but you did them as missions. It wasn't like jumping in to help somebody through the story. And go ahead.
There's a flaw though.
Well, yeah,
the flaw?
the player whose game you're jumping into gets to control the squad. But in the first game, you didn't even have the squad.
There's
The
another
other
flaw?
What's the other flaw?
The other flaw is that though we both unlocked achievements,
Yeah.
I was hosting the game. I got the save points, so when I go
But that's
single
how
player,
every co-op
I could-
game is. That's how Gears was.
Gears is not like that.
Yeah, it is. I'm 90% sure. We'll talk about it more later.
I'm pretty sure Gears is not like that.
So the other great thing that neither of you have mentioned that I think is awesome is that they took the experience point leveling up structure from the multiplayer game in the last game and brought it into the single player game, which is amazing. It allows you to, when you're playing co-op, when you're playing single player, when you're playing multiplayer, you have one persistent character, and no matter how you're playing the game, you're leveling up in 3 different categories and skills in 3 different categories. Your ranks go up, you unlock new weapons, you unlock new armor. I love that.
That's cool because if Call of Duty 4, if you could be gaining your XP while playing the single player or playing the multiplayer, that would be really good because it's almost like
That is
yeah,
what
it's almost
doing.
like there's
It's
a
great.
way. It's like well, I'm not.
Anyway, so I think I think this game has the best cover mechanic in any game. I actually don't like the way Gears of
cover
War
mechanic?
because push A to stick to something I never like because then I feel like I get stuck to something and I have to push A. Holding the trigger and then it hugs whatever you're next to I think is the best way to do the cover mechanic. So I think this game is really fun. It's a fun game, but we need to move on.
Okay.
Did you want to say?
Well, I was just saying the leveling up. I too. I'm glad you brought that up because I did love that. I loved it for. I didn't feel like it wasn't like Mass Effects where my leveling up actually made my pistol feel stronger to me and my magic whatever. But I liked it because it was cool. It felt like I was accomplishing things.
Yeah.
The club, which we haven't talked about, does this. The club makes it an arcade game of getting points for shooting headshots or whatever.
Right.
So it's more. It makes the game single player fun to get the headshot and the leg and the whatever
Right.
and
The club has
shooting from
other
behind.
problems.
But no, I'm talking about this.
Yeah.
But I think that it wasn't like every other element in this game. It wasn't carried through to perfection. You know, like.
So news this week that Ubisoft paid $60 million to secure the Tom Clancy license for the next infinity years, whatever.
Well, which
And
not very
so
shocking.
supposedly the rumor is they're going to spend $50 million to create an MMO Tom Clancy game. 20 seconds between the two of you on whether you think that's a good idea or not.
I think it's a great idea. I don't think there's any.
Think it will work? Like a Splinter Cell-y
Sure,
Rainbow Six
yeah. If you
MMO?
could be like the Russians or the, I mean, obviously it would be called something else, but the Russians or the United States, and you could be a spy operative. You could be, you know what I mean? Like it opens up so many cool options. Like what if you're a spy, you could actually like join a United States guild.
Well, that's the agency.
could run-
That's Sony's MMO is the agency is a ring of spies.
Is that out?
Well, but I'd
No,
trust
no.
I'd trust Ubisoft over Sony Online any fucking day of the week. Are you kidding me? Sony
Well,
Online
it's not
has
Sony,
to.
It's not Sony Online. It's
It's Sony,
the PS3 specific. Although
Oh well.
rumor is
Also,
that now they're
MMOs
doing
have yet to. I've yet to believe that MMOs are possible on a console.
Well, that's what this will be. I'm sure of it.
No, I know, but it's not. Until that happens.
I love the premise. I'm ecstatic at the idea of being able to play an MMO that is not fantastical and sci-fi. I'm excited. I'd be really interested to play it, and it sounds great. I would love to hear more details.
Well, we
about
have no
it.
details. They haven't even started. I'm just saying conceptually, good idea.
But
Right?
yeah, I also would say too. It's funny how you said Russians first. I think that's our. You know, like kids growing up today,
Yeah.
we wouldn't say Russian. We
say-
grew up
Oh, that's funny.
Well, they would
Like-
say Al Qaeda.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Isn't that funny?
It's Cold-
Things?
Cold
Is that what you
War.
said? Things?
It's 80s.
Oh, 80s. I think you went
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
well, the
things.
last topic that I wanted to bring up is we're all big fans of Guitar Hero and Rock Band and rhythm games, and
Can you be in the rhythm of the night?
we all love, yeah,
That's a rhythm
Rhythm
game.
Nation, 1944.
It is.
Whatever. Loved
Congo.
Elite Beat Agents on the DS.
Yeah.
And Dan, you actually liked another. What was that other game called? That other one you got?
I did not like it. I bought
you
it
liked
because
it.
I loved Elite Beat Agents so much. I did not like it. I haven't played it the whole
What's it
time.
called?
Jam Sessions?
Jam Sessions,
It wasn't
right.
a game.
So now we
was
hear that there's
horrible.
actually going to be a full-on Guitar Hero for the DS, and even more crazy is it's going to come with a peripheral that you're going to plug into the GBA outlet of your adapter of your DS, and it's going to be the buttons as if you're playing the guitar. So you're going to hold the thing in your hand, strum. It's actually going to come with a pick that will replace your stylus, so you have a pick to strum with. What do you guys think? This is going to work, Alex?
I think we're gonna have to try it. I think from the pictures, it looked like a science fair project that a slightly touched 8th grader made.
Who's obsessed with the Guitar
Who's
Hero?
obsessed with guitar? He was like, I can make this. Pick. So I mean, washboard, guitaring. I don't know. That said, just sort of envisioning because you're watching the screen and picking like this.
You're holding it like a book, and you're
doing
looking.
what I did.
You're looking at the screen, and you're going like that.
That does not
With the
sound
head,
like
the head's
something.
very important.
That does not sound like something I want to do.
Okay, Danny.
My gut reaction was wishing it was Elite Beat Agents, which is basically
Tap, tap,
Revolution
circle.
on the iPhone. Yeah, it's just as they come down, you go. Tss, 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 tss. I wish that it was that, but I'll get that with Elite Beat Agents too.
Right.
Peripheral-wise, it's either going to be Virtual Boy or it's going to be the Wiimote.
Right.
It's like
You can't tell until
really
you
how
have
do
your
we
hands
know?
on
I mean, I have no
especially
idea.
something that's so ergonomic. You know what I mean? That its
Yeah,
deal
tell me
is
how it
does it
feels.
feel?
I mean, I was skeptical of stylus action on
Me too.
DS. so
I think this is
maybe.
a genius move. I think they could have just done tap, 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 but I think that's literally taking the gameplay and putting it on a portable. It's brilliant.
I agree. It doesn't seem
We'll
like
see
something
how it
that looks
works.
like
Yeah.
fun.
We'll see how it works.
So before we get to our email, we would like to thank our sponsors. Now, GV.com sponsored our show back in the Dizzy, ran a couple competitions. Well, they've now changed their name, relaunched their website, and they are now GameVee.com, GameVee.com. They've launched with a whole bunch of new features.
Pretty awesome.
My favorite feature by far, which I think is just the best feature for video ever, is called Highlight. What you can do is take one of the clips that's on GameVee.com and highlight the specific section that you want your friend to see.
Awesome.
Send that clip. They get the whole clip, but they have the option to just watch the highlighted section.
Love it.
They should do that everywhere, right?
Yeah, isn't that?
No, it's new.
Yeah.
And I like
GameVee.
how much cleaner the site is, and like
It's way cleaner, so
Clearer.
we're all very excited. And also, GameVee is going to be helping us out in the old Comic-Con. which we
San Diego Comic-Con.
San Diego Comic-Con, yes.
And in July.
And in July.
Another of our sponsors is GoDaddy.com. You've probably heard me talk about them before. They're our friends in the domain business. If you need a domain as low as $1.99,
Stomach's gonna growl.
check out GoDaddy.com. Use our promo code TRS1, TRS and the number 1. When you check out, you get an extra 10% off, and they'll know you watch our show, which is awesome.
Bing!
Also, sponsoring the show is, of course, Netflix.com. Netflix is online renting. They have 75,000 titles, HD, DVD, kinda, and Blu-ray. Some of the titles we could recommend: 13 Days.
Great movie.
I recently saw Heaven. Tom Tykwer, the guy who did Run All the Run, did this other movie called Heaven, which I thought was rad. I
Heaven
recommend
can
renting
wait.
it. Also, another great film, Warren Beatty. In it? 40 shipment centers.
He's like this.
So, beady eyes.
Warren Beatty.
So 40 shipment centers, so you get the movie that's at the top of your queue basically the next day. Plans start as low as $4.99 and up. But in order to get that plan and to credit us with the win, you gotta go to www, you have to put them in, www.netflix.com/TRS.
Totally.
Right show.
TRS. Edit me, jump cuts, edit, TRS, totally right show.
Awesome. That was awesome, by the way. All right, so let's get into our email. This comes to us from Steven. Dear Totally Rad Dudes. Guys, that's us. That's us. I think I saw Dan driving at Burbank/Studio City this past week. I don't remember which day. I noticed he was one of the few drivers in LA that actually used his turn signals to change lanes. Do you use your turn signals to change lanes?
I guess I did that moment.
I know. I did too.
I'm gonna
Big
respond
pet
to that.
peeve, but
Okay.
we'll talk about that in
Yeah.
a second. After seeing Dan's recent driving,
I don't know if that was me.
well, we don't know, but that's all right. And
plausible.
having moved back to Los Angeles after 10 years, welcome back, I was surprised at the lack of people's courtesy towards others, not just while driving, but everywhere.
People.
And trust me, I'm a jaded person. So his question to us is, everybody ready? What annoys you most when people in real life are rude or inappropriate, or when people act rude or inappropriate online?
Boy.
Online. Thanks for the entertainment, Steve. Thank you, Steven. So, what do you guys think?
I definitely get annoyed at people.
Very quickly and easily.
I'm a big fan of. I think that common human courtesy is dying, and I'm a big fan of common human courtesy. You know,
Little CHC.
yeah. The turn signal issue. First of all, I think the whole idea of driving is that you need to provide as much information to me, and I need to provide as much information to you as possible, so that we can all make the decisions on the road that are most efficient. And if I don't know you're making a turn, anyway, it's just a little rant that I was prepared to go on. So online, or I get annoyed when people online are annoying, but not as much as in real life. In real life, it's so.
You have a very low tolerance.
I have a very low tolerance. I do.
And a very high tolerance for speaking up about it.
Well, yeah.
IRL, he needs a little CHC. What can you do?
Yeah.
IDK. Dan, what would you...
Even online, even the worst offense online, it's just
Online
typing, and I can just
shenanigans.
Yeah, but when people are rude or are inappropriate in real life, like you see people mistreat someone that's helping them, or someone that like a service employee, like at the grocery store, or it's so distasteful to me.
Yeah.
Basically,
Danny?
Jeff's a superhero, basically.
He is.
I wish.
He's angry man or anger man.
Angry man.
I definitely have some,
From yeah.
definitely got some things to say.
Okay.
Definitely do. Instigated by this question, because I have this theory. I have a pet peeve.
Okay.
Okay? The pet peeve is people that say blank city is the worst drivers. I hate LA, it's got the worst drivers. I hate New York, it's the worst. Every city that you're in has the worst. Every city I go to, the person who lives in that city is like, Philly has the worst drivers. I hate Chicago, these people drive like idiots, they don't know how to drive out here. Every city has the worst driver. Just like in high school, people say, I hate my town, it's the worst. Everyone in high school, every town is the worst town. In addition to that, everyone does everything. You have been.
I don't do everything.
You have
That's
been.
amazing.
I do some stuff.
When some guy cuts you off and you get so pissed, what the fuck? Pay attention, asshole. Yes, you have a right to be mad, but I guarantee you, at one point, you were that dude who you were rushing and you were in a rush. You're thinking about what you had to do, and you accidentally cut someone off. You didn't mean to, but you did. And there's a guy behind you who's flipping you off, saying you're a freaking dickhead, whatever. You've been mad when someone's on the cell phone in the car, like, oh, they're not paying attention. You've had to take that call at that time. You don't know if that person, that was the only time they've used a cell phone, you know what I mean? Everyone's been, don't get mad, is what I'm saying, because you've been that douchebag. Anyway, in addition to that, the online thing, yes, I do get annoyed at people online, but I think that I need to say that I need to take deep breaths, and we all need to take deep breaths, because so much can be misconstrued. Sometimes people say things online because they don't really think that people are paying attention to it, you know? So I'll be, even in these reviews, I'll call some director an idiot, you know? It's like, if he was in front of me, I would never say that, because I don't really think that. I'm just saying it because I don't really think they're listening, you know? And I read our forums, I'm listening, you know? And I was like, but it's so stupid, because it's just people saying clever things, you know? And sometimes they're
not so
clever,
clever.
and sometimes they're not.
Well, yeah, I kind of feel exactly the same
forms.
way as all of these people here. I'm a big proponent of the turn signal indicator. I get very mad, and I know it's redundant, but that's how I call it in Virginia, the turn signal indicator. Even though it is a turn signal, and it's also a turn indicator, but I still call it a turn signal indicator.
But you've forgotten to press that.
I have forgotten to press that, and I have definitely cut people off and had them go, "Bleh," and I've gone, no, sorry, beep, beep. That's my apology
Wouldn't it be
horn.
great if there was a horn that had
it.
like sorry, or get off your phone, or I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, they sell them at novelty joke shops. But as far as the online versus IRL, IRL, FTL, if you do it in real life,
Yeah.
so it's worlds more offensive to me. You know, I mean, it's the same thing when somebody's like yelling at a poor checkout clerk because they can't check out fast enough or they have to wait for the price thing and the person's rushing. I always think that makes the person who gets mad look like a moron. I mean, it's not like I think, oh, that's a bad person. I just go, that person is not smart because they're getting mad at the person has no control over it. So clearly they just don't have the intellectual power to be able to say, oh, it has nothing to do with you. The best is when people get mad, you see them get mad, and then they say, I know this is not your fault. I'm just mad. To me, that's like, all right, I get it. Because then they're like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. And they're like, it just makes me mad, and I know it's not you. But online,
Yeah.
I figure every second person I see online is an asshole. That's how I look at online. I assume that every
so
second.
Either any of us in the room.
Dude, when we're all playing, I'm like, one of you guys is gonna turn into the online asshole. It's gonna happen, and it's
interesting.
okay.
I was thinking about like reading online, but there's a whole nother level of asshole
Oh,
when it's
dude.
the Xbox Live and the
I was thinking of
6-year-old
reading
kid is like,
online.
Oh yeah, no. I was assuming it was like that, or like Ventrilo
no,
playing
that's a
rating
perfectly
and stuff.
valid way to interpret the question.
Oh yeah, and even friends that you know, this is actually really interesting. This came up online the other day. I was in a group. We ran through this instance in WoW. It was so much fun. We had a blast. Everybody was great. The next night, same exact group, way less fun. Everybody was sort of quiet and bitchy, and it was like, how weird is this?
Now everyone's like,
it also affects. No, but it.
No, it wasn't you, person who's thinking that.
Oh, I don't mean our
I don't mean people. I don't mean people. But
it
it's
wasn't
like
me.
it really does depend upon everybody's mood and how their day went and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I mean, it's so.
You don't know
specific.
intonation when you're typing. You don't know if
Typing
people are being
is-
sarcastic and.
Yeah, typing is bad because somebody would be like, blah blah blah. You dick. Well, it was a joke. Oh, I love you.
Let me just say, we've been the dickheads too. When we're joking around, when we're like playing Call of Duty together, whatever,
Yeah.
or Gears, whatever, and we're all having our inside jokes, and we're loud, and oh, Alex, it's you, and you know, there's some dudes in the room who aren't speaking.
I know,
you know,
we're
and they're
like-
just like these freaking douchebags. They think they're funny with their jokes.
Our
You know
jokes
what
are
I mean?
funny.
Well,
not being
I agree. And we are very funny.
All right.
Sometimes. Well, if you'd like to send in an email just like Steven, you can do so. Send it to fans@totallyradshow.com.
And if you'd like to send in a background like Joshua, you can do so at fans@totallyradshow.com. If
It's
you wanna,
really the Swiss Army knife of email addresses.
It really is. Corkscrew yourself right over there. Check out our website, totallyradshow.com. You can get our logo, which you can help you make these
Ooh.
things. You can get templates.
Should we do this as the poll question? What annoys you more, in real life people or online people?
Yeah.
I think that's perfect.
Okay.
Or is there a way we can add a third option? Like
Both?
Visit the site and find out what that third
Yeah,
option
find out what that
is.
third option is.
yeah,
we will be
haven't done a
third-eye
poll.
blind right now.
We haven't done a poll in so long because we've been doing the voting. For
I know.
Totally
That's what made me remember because I was like, oh, we have a poll thing.
Also, check out our forums. It's a good place if you want to discuss this episode or a lot of other great stuff. Awesome community. Sign up, participate. And
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people who have signed up just in our last, because we did the year episode. There's a lot of new faces, which I love to
That's
see.
cool.
So it's really
That's super cool.
You can also head over to the website to find out the movie we're going to review ahead of time. It's up for grabs at this point, but it might be CJ7, and in the chance that we do talk about CJ7, I would see it as soon as possible because it's in limited release. That being said,
What, Dan? What being That being said, fuck.
The thing that's awesome is like the last, you can visualize the last word is coming out of his mouth and he sees it and he's like,
Yeah.
"Grr."
He's like, get back in my face! Damn you, said!
you can, of
I hate
course,
you, said.
become our friend on MySpace, myspace.com/TRS, Totally Rad Show. TRS, Totally Rad Show.
You sure?
Yes.
All right. Coolio. Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Totally Rad Show. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg. See you at Comic-Con, July.
Comic-Con, bitches.
2008.
I have been. I forgot the lines. Come on. I have been and always shall be. What will be? I shall be. I always have been.
Maybe I'll
Your
remain.
friend.
The Totally Rad Show.
Can't remember the line. Live long and prosper. Live long and prosper!